The views and opinions expressed in this program are solely those of the individuals appearing on the show and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of Law and Media Network, its affiliates, sponsors, or partners. The content provided in this program is intended for informational and entertainment purposes only. Law and Media Network does not guarantee the accuracy, completeness, or timeliness of the information. All intellectual property rights related to this program, including but not limited to copyrights, trademarks, and other proprietary rights, are the property of Law and Media Network or their respective owners. Unauthorized reproduction, distribution, or use of any content from this program is prohibited.
Good evening, our viewers. Welcome to our 6th episode of Be Bold, Why Not? This is MJ.
And this is Atala.
Magandang gabi sa inyong lahat, sa mga taga-Pilipinas.
Muy buenas noches, ¿cómo están? Bienvenidos a un capítulo más de Be Bold, Why Not?
Yes, and we are live on Facebook and YouTube Live.
And also good pods, Stitcher, Pandora, Podcast Addict, and Podcast Cast.
Yes, if you miss our live show, you can listen to our recorded podcast on those platforms in addition to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Podchaser, Deezer, and Player FM.
Of course, that would be a pleasure for us to just connect with you and also try to actually serve you in any way possible that we can.
Yes, and I can't believe we're on our 6th episode. And again, we would like to congratulate our winner last time for our show. It was Mayra Perez Gonzalez. Congratulations again. And remember, we have questions in the show as we go along. And for those viewers who are watching and listening, if you are the first person that will answer our questions correctly, then you will get a prize.
Yes, right. And the most important is just try to be present during the program, try to really comment or ask questions, because that's why we are here for you.
That is correct. But how are you, Atala?
I'm very excited. You know, it's always looking forward for Monday that to just kind of spend this time with you and with the audience. It has been really very, very enjoyable, you know, to just kind of grow together and try to really kind of start our audience.
Yeah, how was your weekend?
It was really nice. I mean, I kind of rest a little bit. I did also some kind of coaching program for some very nice group of Latin women, and try to kind of keep myself busy, a little bit of exercise, you know, a little bit of just kind of enjoying a little bit in the park. So try to keep a balance as much as possible.
Yeah.
What about you?
Oh my gosh, my weekend was a little bit, you know, not that as busy as my usual weekends, but I was so excited to prepare my house for my boys. They're coming. Oh my God, I can't wait. We've been counting the nights. Like every time we say good nights, like 8 more nights to go. So I prepared their rooms. We're so ready for them to come home. Yeah, my boys.
That's a good feeling.
Yes,
you know, I know, like, it's like emptiness, you know, like you are always trying to do something for your kids, and suddenly they are like, wow. Now they are doing their own things, you know, exploring their own lives and just enjoying their lives, which is important too. I'm happy. I'm excited for you.
I am so excited. I'm so excited. Yes, one of them is coming this Friday, and then my other one will come on Monday. So we can't wait. We can't wait for them to be here. But, you know, tonight we have a very, you know, exciting or interesting topic, which is quite common.
Unfortunately, it's quite common, and it's getting more and more common in these days. But do you want to share the topic with our audience?
Yeah, well, tonight we're going to talk about, you know, the challenges of divorce. I know it's not a pleasant topic because it affects lives, it affects families and all that. But we just want to bring it out there so that we can learn. We can learn from this topic, and we can learn from people's experiences. And we will actually have a very, very special guest that will be able to guide us also and give us a lot of vital information about this topic.
I think this is a very sensitive topic. You hear more and more these days that people are getting divorced. Sometimes even it's amazing, even before getting married. They have already in their mind, if it doesn't work, we can just get divorced. Which I really believe that shouldn't be in that way. I think that you should really kind of at least, do your very best for keep the marriage together. And I'm telling you from my own experience. I'm coming from, I've been divorced for many years. And I do believe that is something that unfortunately happened, but if you can work through, I highly recommend, because marriage is about, it's not just the perfect, I would say, company, business entity, because everything is involved there, to people with different cultures, values, backgrounds, and you name it, hobbies, putting together in the same house is more about getting to know each other. It's more about acceptance. It's more about respect as well, and maturity, because I think maturity is very important. Those things happen, and we should really kind of start just exploring what is some of the issues that actually maybe leads to divorce. What do you think?
Yeah, well, before we get to that, I know we have a viewer from Pasig City, Jewel Bacani. Wow, thank you so much for watching. And Jewel, remember, I sent you a message about 2 weeks ago, because I know you were a winner also in one of our shows. And please send us a message on how we can send you your prize. And also, we have a video of some of our winners for the past show. So can we show that? Do we have that video, please? Yeah, there you go. We also have another winner that we'll show the video later. But yeah, so Atala, I know you have experiences in this, but yeah, I for myself, I know of course, I've been married for 25 years, and it's not perfect, as you said. There's always going to be issues, because you're right. We are two different individuals. We grew up from different families, and then you go into a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. And then during that phase of your relationship, normally you try to show your best self, right? But then once you get into living under one roof, that's when you get to know each other more, and you get to show all your flaws and everything. And that's when some issues would come out, or would.
But let me just I'm sorry to just kind of go over like this, but I think also is you have to consider a lot of elements here. For example, I always share, in my case, it was more cultural differences. Some people may not consider this, but sometimes you ignore, because one of the things that I always say to people, you can love mariachis and you can maybe love the Mexican food, but you may not understand the culture. So that's two different things. Why the family is always together, why you're always calling mom and dad, and you're always talking to your family, even if you're in two different countries. So that's another different thing. I think maturity takes place, understanding. And I highly also, I honestly now understand that definitely, how you were raised, your values, how the family that you come from, it's going to give you a lot of input into your life, how do you face life, your challenges, everything. So I think it's about get to know more, not just your partner, but also his culture, his relationship with his family, that cultural sensitivity, which is very important, very, very important, and you cannot ignore it. Especially you are talking about a couple with different backgrounds, different languages, but also like different ways of that they were, raised. That's very important.
Yeah, that is correct. And different personalities too. There's this maybe more giving person. This person is maybe a little bit more like stringent or selfish. I'm not saying, that, but there could be a clash in personalities because you just are totally different people. And you're right, even families, like the extended family, sometimes other cultures cannot, understand why you are so close to your family. Why do you have to, even like in-laws, they come into the picture too sometimes. One of the issues, right? There's a movie, Monster, is it Monster Outlaw or In-Law? Monster In-Law? Do you remember that movie?
I don't
Yeah,
remember
when issues also arise from conflicts with their families. And I think that's also one common
let
thing.
me share with you something that
Yeah.
happened. I remember one time I was in Mexico and I was with my family, and my ex-husband came into the kitchen, and we were just like, we were like, oh, we help each other, right? And he was just watching to everybody, And I said, come on, what are you doing? This is not my kitchen. So yeah, but we can go ahead and start just picking out the glass and putting it to the table. So that's just cultural sensitivity, But sometimes we don't, we ignore that. And it could be something very simple, very simple. But when you start really adding into, it can create conflict. And more if you don't have the maturity to understand those differences. So sometimes simple things can create really big things in life. And I think it's all about just to get to know more yourself and start getting to know more the other person as well.
That's right. Because, getting married is really a commitment. Yeah, it's a commitment for life. And it's like when you get into relationship, especially when you get married, I mean, you make a vow that, the vow to enriches or in richness and how do you call it? In death,
in illness,
in riches, and yeah, whatever situation you commit yourself to your partner. And they say that when you get married, that's why some issues arise sometimes from like families, is because they say when you get married, you leave your family and you are put together as one. And I think because of that, it's like people are not probably ready for that commitment, that when things start getting or going the wrong way, then that's when people cannot handle it.
I believe that also, for example, if you're coming from a very close family and suddenly maybe your husband, it doesn't come from a very united family, that's going to be, believe it or not, an issue. Because sometimes you're not going to understand the same language, right? So I noticed that for me, like when I'm talking about cultural differences, in my family we get together and we eat together on Monday and Sunday and you name it. So suddenly here it was like totally different, right? I used to ask my husband, why we don't go and see your mom? We just saw her last weekend, So to me, we're like, yeah, but this is a new weekend, we can go and. So you have to start really get to know more and more the culture, and I mean acceptance the difference is important, right?
Yes.
And I do believe also it's about understanding that marriage is beautiful, and I believe in marriage, but it's also something that you have to really kind of cultivate every day. Your relationship, understanding, patience, forgiveness, all those elements that are important. And that when you're going through those difficulties, sometimes you will just go through emotions. And emotions actually are the ones who are leading you. Not your understanding, not your maturity, not your acceptance, not your love, just emotions. And sometimes discussions, can become really problematic. You don't know how to handle it.
So, Atala, let me ask you. So, I know when you go through that stage of your life where you have a lot of misunderstandings, and that's when you're starting to feel that you're actually like falling out of love, as they say, when you start falling out of love, what are the things that you try to do to make things, to fix things? Do you put all like extra effort to do more things just to be able to?
Yes, sometimes you try to cover things, sometimes you try to ignore them, sometimes you try to truly justify a lot of the issues, but there is a point that you need to really face reality. When there is a misunderstanding, there is a misunderstanding. When there is like, I have this feeling about I'm not getting my how can I say, my ideas across. Like you start getting like this kind of cycle in where little things become big things, in where you are getting this kind of feeling of, I'm not feeling comfortable anymore here. And of course, it doesn't happen from one day to another. I will tell you honestly, in my case, were more like cultural differences. Sometimes even about how to raise my son. I'm more like adaptable, letting him explore, because that's what my family allowed me to do that. But I had to understand also that we were two different people, wonderful people, but in the same house with different kind of mentalities, personalities. So we didn't handle well. Even though, let me tell you, we also went through counseling, because I don't believe in about just getting divorced right away. We went through counseling. We had this kind of talks, and we were trying to make things happen, and overcome those difficulties. But unfortunately, I do believe again that when you are not mature enough, you're not gonna be able to handle, and you're gonna try to escape. So to me, that was like a red flag. I say, I don't believe like just escaping. I believe about facing, but sometimes the other person doesn't have the same level of consciousness. So you have to understand that. I prayed about it. I went to counseling. Some of my friends say, Atala, I never thought you would get a divorce. Me either, believe me. But that happened. So you go through a long process.
Yes, right? Yes. And I can only imagine that, because, as I said, I'm still strongly married. Like our relationship just gets getting stronger. The more conflicts we have, and the more conflicts we resolve and we talk about, I think that's when we get deeper in our relationship. So, but anyway, we're gonna learn more about that. See, we already are. Time just flies so fast. Well, like we're already done with our first part of the show. So we're gonna go on a break first before we continue on. All right, we'll see you.
That's it. So
All right, we're back.
We're just right back.
Yes, we're back. We have a few comments.
I wanted to just say, Martita, muchísimas gracias por conectarte con nosotros de Latinas Poderosas. Es un verdaderamente placer tenerte aquí.
Yeah, thank you, Marta. Yeah, thank you, Marta, for tuning in or watching us tonight. Thank you. So, yeah, we were just talking again, right? That's the cultural differences is a big thing.
Yes,
right? And then differences also in personalities, right? And the
character,
yes, everything. And sometimes too, the way you try to discipline the kids. It's a very
that's preliminary. That's a
very common issue, is like how to discipline the kids. You have different ways, and that exists in every relationship. Because even now, I have to admit, my husband and I, I still go through that too. When as moms, because moms are wired differently from fathers, right? That's why there should be a balance, because moms are more like, your you just give in to what your kids want because you don't want to hurt them, and because we're more emotional. And then husbands or fathers, they're more like disciplinarians.
Yes, big time.
Yeah,
You just remind me something else. I
Yeah.
remember I wanted to be with my son, of course, after working and just, spending time with him, and I was like breastfeeding and all those things. But at a certain time, he needed to go to bed. So think about a Latin woman, right? 8 o'clock, I wanted to continue, play with him. But my husband was like, no, it's time to go to sleep, which he was fine. So every time that he used to put him in the crib, my son was sleeping. When I used to go ahead and try to put him in the crib, he was like playing and laughing. So it's just little things that make a difference.
Yes, because it's the difference in in doing things
and in
different
feeling,
ways.
because you just say something weird. Or we are created in different ways. There is a higher sensitivity for women, You can even, I have heard women that say, I want to run, after my work to just be with my babies. And it's a feeling, it's something that is beyond you. I don't know if I can express correctly, but it's just a feeling, especially when they're little ones. And if you are working, the first thing you want is to go home and be with them.
Yeah, and I think that could be one of the root causes of really the issues, because men, they have this need, how the hierarchy of needs of men is different from the hierarchy of needs of women. So even in that aspect, there are differences, and when we are not meeting the needs according to how we prioritize those needs, that's when things get things happen, conflicts and issues arise. So there's just a lot of reasons actually that can.
But I will also share with you, of course, it could be cultural sensitivity, about maybe from different countries and all these things that we mentioned before. But I have heard also situations where it's really like verbal abuse, physical abuse. That's something else completely. That honestly, I always going to recommend to get some help. Why? Because I have actually in coaching, having people that they have been mistreated verbally, physical abuse, and they are so afraid about speaking out. That's something else. You are facing one of those circumstances, you need to ask for help. Because sometimes people are blocked, they just go through the emotions, and those emotions are most of the time fear, doubt, lack of confidence. And that doesn't allow you to really get help.
Yeah, and I think the reason for that too, that's why some women, they try to stay in the relationship, even though it is like an abusive relationship, is because, as you said, they lack the confidence already. Like they don't know how to live out of the relationship because they may not be working. They might be dependent on the income of the husband, or they're just afraid to get out of the relationship because of their children. So there are a lot of things that keep women in relationships like that. Mainly not because of themselves. Sometimes children are, but then they say that some kids, especially when they are already mature and they see these kind of relationships between their parents, they would rather see their parents happy, although they're separated, than them being together. But it's like they're suffering in the relationship.
I think it's very important this is what I learned from my own experience, working yourself. Once that you decide this is going to be the divorce, it's hard. Facing that reality is hard. Emotional, you feel drained, physical also, because, you are always in this kind of cycle of emotions. You miss the person, even if you are not with that person. It's just like a roller coaster of emotions. However, like everything in life, nothing is forever, not even that stage of life. So it is interesting because I believe in emotional healing. I believe in also be very honest with yourself, be very honest with your kids, Don't ever use your kids when you're going through divorce or after divorce. I have seen many cases, women use their kids and they don't allow to see their fathers. So that's also hurting your kids emotionally, Many times they have this kind of desire of spending more time with mom or dad. And that's something that at the moment you don't see that, but most probably you're hurting your own kid. Yeah. You think about it, you want to raise kids that they're gonna have a healthy mind, healthy heart as much as possible. So I believe in getting help. Go ahead and talk to mentors, a priest, or like a coach, or you name it, with a friend, with somebody who you trust, because all those emotions,
Yeah.
You cannot just keep it for yourself. You need guidance.
Yeah, and there are support groups out there. But we have some comments. We're going to read the comments and try to answer it before we introduce our guest, because we have a special guest tonight, as I've told you earlier. So we have a question from Diego Maceda. How can you tell if the other spouse is already a narcissistic individual?
Wow, that's a good question.
Yeah, what do you think, Atala?
Well, I mean, so many things that we can say here. I mean, I'm not an expert in narcissism for sure, but I mean, many times they can be very sweet, but very controlling people as well, right? So it's like you have to be aware of that. And maybe this person can control you with money, with, even conversations, even about not going certain places, or staying with him or staying with her, because you don't know if it's he or she, the narcissist. And also just the fact that you don't feel comfortable, you don't feel that you're losing your identity. Many times people are suffering a lot because they lose their own selves in the middle of that. I mean, spending time with a person, with a narcissistic person. I do know that it takes a long time to heal, because they don't lose just their identity, they lose themselves. It's painful. You are with a very controlling person, And the thing here is, like, most of the time, they could be very sweet, pretend to be very sweet, understanding person, and that's the image and that they express them. I mean, the way that they express themselves towards society, family. So you may not even have an idea after several years, when you don't know why I'm feeling in this way. I have heard stories from women that it took years for them to heal, because they spend time with a narcissistic husband. And it's hard. It's really hard. I will tell you for sure.
Yeah, and I think also one sign could be that they're very jealous, and that they're even jealous of their own children, right? So that is obviously a very narcissistic person, because they want to be served. Like, it's all about them. Like, me. It's either you have to serve me, you have to focus on me. It's like, they even stop you from seeing your friends, right? So some people, they just think about themselves, and that could be very jealousy is one probably sign of being a narcissistic person, because you just don't want your partner or your husband or your wife to even mingle with other people. So
control.
You're very controlling. Sure. Yes, you're very controlling, and that's a red flag, as you have said. But anyway, Diego, hope we answered your question. Okay, and now it's time to introduce our very, very special guest. She is a divorce attorney. That's why we have her here tonight, because she's going to help us and give us really good information on how to go through the process of divorce, what challenges that she had seen with her clients, and also that she will share her experiences as a divorce attorney, the challenges that she goes through. So let's welcome our very own attorney, Eileen Ligot Dizon. Come on in. There she is. See, she's still in her office trying to help people.
Welcome. It's a pleasure having you here, Eileen.
Hello, MJ and Atala. Thank you for having me in your wonderful show.
Oh, it's our pleasure. Yeah.
So
okay, so we're talking.
Some of the most common.
Yeah, I've been listening to your conversation, and I can really relate. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you, but there's a little bit of a lag.
Okay. Yeah, I noticed that too.
Yeah. But
okay. Well, hopefully this will work.
Yeah. So how long have you been a divorce attorney, Eileen?
Well, maybe 2 to 3 years. It's a choice that I decided before that, okay, I'm going to do family law. And then little did I know, I'm already getting a lot of divorce cases. So I was like, okay, maybe this is a practice I need to do. So
Mhm.
that's how I got into divorce. And also because I practice immigration, and immigration and divorce usually they are related. There's an intersection of divorce and immigration here in Texas.
Mhm.
And I was listening to your conversation. I don't know. I think that we still have a log, but um, well, I've been an attorney since 2006, but I practiced family law just recently. I think it started 2008. I was thinking about the date, right? So yeah, divorce is a very challenging practice because it involves emotions and lives of family. So when I say family, we're talking about the adults and the minors. So it's really something that is will hit you hard because of the relationship involved and the emotions. It's so high. And you were talking about narcissistic person earlier. Odd is uh, almost 85% of divorce cases that I handled, um, the common factor is that the other partner displays a behavior of a narcissistic person.
Mhm.
So, and that's very common. So every time I do my consultation, and I always hear because the other partner is so and so narcissistic, very controlling. And Atala was also correct when she said earlier that before they came into a decision to get divorced, before they even dialed that number to call me, to call an attorney, a divorce attorney, they've been through a lot already. It's been a problem that is ongoing, and they tried everything else that they can do to save the marriage, and it's not really working. It's getting worse, and that's the time they dial the number and call an attorney, and consider, okay, maybe it's time to get a divorce because nothing is working anymore. So I'm used to hearing stories of people, and not just women, because I represent both sides.
Mhm.
You know, both the husband and the wife side in divorce cases, so I can tell what's going on. And it's sometimes I think what I notice is it's communication. They're not understanding each other anymore, so they cannot fix it anymore because they cannot understand. They're trying, but it's because of lack of understanding or the willingness to understand. Then it becomes cannot it cannot be resolved anymore.
Mhm.
That
And
happens on the
sorry
route.
to interrupt you.
Yes,
What are the
Atala.
three
Yeah,
most common reasons why people get divorced? One can be communication, finances, or what would be maybe?
yeah. Well, there are a lot of reasons, but I think the most common one, we already mentioned it. The other partner is a narcissistic person, very controlling, very jealous. He thinks of himself or herself as a superior partner, so something like that. And then the other one is financial. They have a lot of financial problems. They're indebted. They don't know anymore how to resolve it, and then it ends up they argue a lot and fight a lot because of financial problem. And then the third, um, well, it's that a third party is involved,
Mhm.
and sometimes it's just one party, but sometimes it's multiple parties. And don't get me wrong, they try to fix it. They try to change, but
Mhm.
it keeps on going and going, and the other partner is already tired, and
Yeah.
the other partner sees it as a hopeless case anymore. He's not going to change, or she's not going to change.
Mhm.
So those are just the three, but there are more.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, that's unfortunate, really. I mean, it's a very sensitive issue,
Hmm.
and you're right, it affects a lot of people in this relationship, especially if you have kids. And the thing is, what if the kids are still very young too? Sometimes it's harder, right? Because there's gonna be some issues that they have to take care after the divorce. But anyhow, before we get into more in-depth conversation about this topic, we're gonna go for a short break again.
With right.
Hi, my name is Myra. I am the winner from the September 11 episode of Be Bold, hosted by Miss MJ and Miss Atala. Thank you for the prize that I've received during that episode. Good luck to your show. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Myra. Thank you
Thank you,
again.
Myra.
Yeah,
That was nice for
I
her.
know, and she actually was messaging me last night and asking me what link to share so she can share our show to a lot of her friends. So I sent her our link. So thank you, and hope that you are watching again tonight. Yeah. So
That's interesting. You know, I mean, I've been not talking about divorce for many. I mean, I talk with people now that I'm coaching in divorce, but I will tell you something also. I think this is a journey, as I mentioned before, because even though it's very painful and it's really very painful in all areas, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, once that you face that, you overcome, you know?
Mhm.
And I'm telling you from experience. I got divorced many years ago. I moved to this country with my son and two luggages. I ended without anything materialistic. It was very painful because I used to have a wonderful, you know, house and this and that, but things happen. So now my recommendation is always get legal assistance. Always. You know, don't try to assume because people change. Unfortunately, during the divorce process, you're gonna get different. You're gonna uh, you're gonna learn that the person is totally different from the person that you married, which is normal because you're going through emotions, right?
Mhm.
So at the end of the day, I always recommend get some legal assistance, you know, get some knowledge. Try to really think about your kids as well, because sometimes, as happened to me, Latin women, you are like a superwoman. You're gonna face everything. You don't worry about. You don't care about the money. Those things are differently in life.
Mhm.
Once that you overcome those emotions, you get to the point like, wow, what I did. It's not about what you did, it's what you can do today.
Yes.
So learn from experience, ask questions, you know, and more importantly, also try to understand that life happens. Nobody's perfect. There is no perfect man, perfect woman, but always try to think about what is the best for yourself, for your kids as well.
Yeah. Okay, so we have another comment. Yeah, let's read Diego Maceda again. He says, my friend tried to stop his divorce process by asking the judge to stop the process and ask the court to sing in an open court to show he still loved his wife. Can he do that? Attorney
Well-
Eileen, can you answer that question for us?
Well, the question is, so they're already in a divorce process, right? And they're already in front of the judge. And I assume this is already, they're in litigation. That means they did not agree on all the issues involved in divorce. That's why they're in front of the judge. And before I answer that question about the singing request, um, so you see in a divorce case, there are issues to be resolved. So first is the division of the property of the spouses, because definitely during the marriage, the couple they were able to buy properties, earn money or acquire assets. So that in Texas we are a community state, so that means the properties that the couple or the spouses acquire during the marriage, they're considered community property. So they have to divide that one during divorce proceedings. So that's one issue that they have to handle. They can either come to an agreement or the court will decide. Okay, so if they come to an agreement, then judge has nothing to do anymore in terms of which property goes to whoever. Now the other issue is children. If there are minor children involved in the marriage, they have to decide as to the custody, which here we call it conservatorship in Texas, and of course child support. So if they haven't agreed on any of in all of these issues, how much is the child support? Who's going to be the primary parent? Is it going to be a joint custody or joint conservatorship? Or how about the visitation? If they haven't agreed on all that issues, then they go to the judge. And I believe this is what's happening here because they're in front of the judge now. So I had a case similar to this. So the husband in that case actually asked to, because he doesn't want to divorce the wife for some reason, but they've been having a problem for a long time, and the wife has given the husband many opportunities to change. There was a third party involved, and also the issue on narcissism or narcissistic behavior of the husband. So, and then the husband doesn't want to, he doesn't want the divorce to push through. So, for some reason, he doesn't want to divorce the wife. But before the divorce petition was filed, he's not really showing any affection to the wife anymore. So, I think this is his probably during that time his last ploy to show to the judge that, hey, I'm not a bad guy. See, I don't even want to have a divorce. And so can I request for, can I sing for my wife? And of course the judge said, no, can't do that. We're here to litigate. We're here to decide. This is not like, you're pursuing her in this case. No, this is a process ending the marriage. So no, but of course you can always make the request. I mean, but the question is, will it be granted? I must say, it is the discretion of the judge. So whatever request you want to ask the judge during the case, during the hearing, it's the discretion of the judge. So yeah, you can ask, you can bring flower, you can do whatever, but you have to ask permission from the judge during a hearing.
Okay, there's a question here. If your client sings, do you have to be a backup singer?
Well, how much is the fee? No, I'm just kidding. Like a talent fee, right?
Okay, so then we have talked about emotional distress as one of the challenges,
Yes.
right? And financial
Financial
distress,
also.
challenges of divorce, because it's expensive. I've heard that it's really expensive to go through a divorce process. Can you?
But when you think about it, it could be expensive, but it could be more expensive to just kind of prolong something that is not working, and emotionally you're getting drained, and you are not able to perform. You're not able to be a good parent. So that's even more costly in life. And sometimes decisions need to be made. Once that you went through counseling, talking, try to figure out if you can make it or not, and you don't have peace, and there is this kind of discomfort. You need to also kind of go and try to really kind of have a one-on-one conversation with yourself and be very brave, because I have heard people who stay for the reason that you mentioned before, because they are so afraid about the financial,
Effects, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's one of the major things what I have learned. Women, especially staying in a marriage, that there is not a healthy marriage. I will never suggest somebody go and get divorced, but you have to really kind of find out the way to fix the relationship. This is possible. Heal during the relationship. Try to make a commitment, of course. Improve your conversation, your acceptance, your forgiveness, whatever it needs to take place. But if once that you did everything, you need to be brave to say, this is not healthy for me. This is not healthy for my kids, if that's the case. And go forward, because at the end of the day, you're going to overcome, and you're going to find out so many, many talents that you have, strength, you're going to feel stronger, and you're going to find also opportunities in life. So again, nothing is forever. There is no pain that lasts forever either.
Yes. So before we continue again, because we're like going towards the end of the show now, but we're going to go for a break again, and we're going to wrap up, and we're just going to talk, summarize everything, and just talk about the positive things that come out of the process of divorce. But before that, we want to ask our first question. What's our first question? What are the 2 most common challenges in the divorce process, right? Yeah, can you flash that? Give at least 2 common challenges one has to go through during a divorce. So again, to all our viewers right out there, please, if you know the answer, just put it in the comment, and the first person to give us the right answer will be the winner. Now let's go for a break and we will be back.
It's an intentional showcase. It's not just like another art thing. I love the actual intention behind it and how it has evolved every year. I also felt like I was like, these are my people, and I got to meet so many people, and as well as discovering new artists to connect with. I also think that it's important to be plugged into community as well. So I don't know. It's like you get to engage in the art, you get to contribute to the art, and it's just this kind of energy that keeps mirroring back and forth into this like creative haven of like, and you feel like less overwhelmed, like you're not alone in whatever you're creating, because creating can be a very solitary process. So I mean, if there's any other good reason to celebrate, it's that we are here and we are rising. So I think I'm really excited about this one.
What is estate and why do we plan it? What is estate planning?
Actually, good question. I love that question. What is estate and why do we plan for that? You say estate, we're talking about what comes into your mind?
Mine is like land and property, houses.
Yes, you're right. Assets. That's your estate. That's why when somebody passed away, we settle the estate. That's what we do when we do probate. We settle the estate because the estate is what you left for your loved ones. So while you're alive, you're accumulating this estate. Why we say estate planning? Why?
Mm-hmm.
Well, because mainly the reason why you're doing the planning is you're thinking about what will happen when you pass away, most likely, right?
I mean, we all pass away someday.
I know. It's just a matter of when. Hopefully not too soon because we want to enjoy our
Drive safe, eat healthy, go to the gym.
All right, we're back.
We love to laugh,
Yeah, that was so cool. Yeah, don't forget the last Wednesday of the month, Legal Treats by Attorney Eileen. You got G's on. Yes, yes. So yeah, so
we're almost at the end of the show.
Yeah,
That's
we are,
amazing,
and we're learning so much here, and it's true. I mean, it's a challenge. It's a very sensitive topic. It's hard, but before we go again, we
have another question
continue.
here.
We have some more comments. You want to read it?
Say, what about if other party is not so cooperative in the process of divorce, but the other one is so willing to do so? How it is going to proceed? By the way, happily married here, just asking questions that may help those going through this. That's true. I believe that, you want to really kind of make a commitment to really not just quit, right? But try to make peace with your partner, with your husband or your wife. Try to really kind of communicate, open heart conversations, deep conversations, be vulnerable. Ask what you are missing or what you're needing. That's important. It's emotional intelligence and needs to take place because sometimes we hide our feelings, our emotions. We don't speak out from our heart and we become frustrated, right? Frustration starts taking place, all the wrong emotions, frustration, anger, resentment, all those things, that it's going to block any relationship. But if the person is willing, give it a chance. You want the marriage to work at the end of the day. So why not try it? But you have to be vulnerable, you have to be present, you have to be forgiving, you have to be able to really kind of speak from your truth, be honest. And also, I believe, like, if you believe in God, pray about it, that gives you the wisdom, understanding inside, because you want a marriage to work. And I do believe in marriage. And I think that people can make better, two people can make better in life, right? Mm-hmm. But you have to be able to be very open and ask for what you really want.
Yeah, and I think you don't really arrive at that decision to go for the divorce unless both of you have tried all the best that you can to save the relationship. And the process is not going to start until you both agree, because you have to sign, right? That
Yes.
you're going through the divorce now. And yeah, it's probably tough, because if the other person is still willing to give it a try for the marriage, but the other one is already giving up, maybe you can come to like an agreement to give it a little time. But if that point comes that there's really no saving of the relationship, and that you're just making your relationship worse by staying together, and it's affecting the
Yes,
whole
right.
family, it's affecting your jobs, it's affecting your children, then we got it to accept. As you said, acceptance is the
It's like
first
one of
step.
the steps, yeah. In
Yeah.
everything in life.
Yeah,
you know?
acceptance is the first step, and it's hard to get there. But if we come to look at the wider picture, the bigger picture of why this is going on, and you're willing to move on to better the relationship, because you can be divorced, but then after that you become friends. There is a positive thing that comes
like
out.
healing. It has
Yeah,
to be
as
take a
you
healing,
go through the
yes.
healing process, there's actually something beautiful that can come out of this.
Let me
Because-
tell you something.
yeah.
Now that you say it comes, I mean, with time everything heals. There is nothing that cannot be healed, right?
Mhm.
Maybe sometimes it will take more for some people than others.
Mhm.
I told you last weekend my husband and I, we were in the same game with my son, and that was beautiful. Why? Because we overcame, because there is nothing that we can keep forever. At the end of the day, this is life. So you must learn, you must grow in the process and heal in the process. You want the best for your kids as well as for the other person, because at the end of the day, you share a life together. 1, 2, 3, 15, 20, 30 years, and it doesn't make any sense. It's not worth it to keep resentment.
Yes, yes, and that's true, because in a relationship, people should grow. People should grow for the better. People should improve for the better. That's how you know that the relationship is healthy. But if the relationship is like stopping you from becoming the good person that you are, if the relationship is stopping you from blossoming and becoming a really, a beautiful person because of the relationship, then that's not healthy anymore. And that's why it hurts, it's painful, and I can only imagine that, because I'm not in that situation. But even as a married person, we have a very strong relationship, we still go through some challenges and we go through issues, but we work them out, because we can still work them out, and there's beautiful thing that comes out of the relationship. And when you divorce, it doesn't mean it's the end of the world, and it's the end of your relationship. As I said, you could be better off as friends now. Now you have, right? And I have friends who have also gone through this through divorce, and they are like, they're friends. They joke to each other. They accept each other more than when they were in the relationship.
Because you know what, something
Yeah.
has happened. You become more appreciative about other person with the time, right? Sometimes we're looking for things and then say, "Wow, she was really nice," or "Was very, blah blah blah." But that's maturity also, and
Yes.
that comes with time and consciousness as well.
Yeah. So out of this painful experience for those couples that divorce, yeah, you said maturity, as the healing goes, maturity will come in, and then they become good friends. They have better relationships. So there are positive things, and then the children are happier because they see their parents happy too, being separated. Because when they were together, it was really a turmoil, a chaos. Like they can see the parents not being themselves anymore. They have lost their identities, and that they're just suffering in the relationship, and that gives distress to the kids too. So when
I
they
want
go
to
through the
share
divorce
something.
now,
Yes.
it's more like the children are also happier for both parents. And even though they have to go through that adjustment of going to the parent this weekend and going to the other one, they're happy for them, for their parents, because you're now in a better situation than
But I wanted
before.
to say something very important that I experienced that even before arriving to that term, if you're going through the divorce, once you accepted that issue, it's like there is freedom. So if you're working in yourself, you want to give the best to your child or
Mhm.
to your children. That's very important. Many times women or men think that because they don't have the mom or the dad with them, their kids not gonna perform. That's not true. If you are, if you keep, I mean, if you work in yourself, if you really, really put the teacher like, hey, I'm gonna do my very best. I mean, act with love. I'm gonna be there present for my son regardless. I'm not gonna talk wrong about the father or the mom. That child gonna grow healthy, and that's important. Remember, we're shaping the life of a loved one. So keep in mind that, because to me, that's priceless.
Yeah, that's very true. So our next question, let's flash it on the screen. I think one is give us one positive thing, right? Okay, that was the first one. I'll give at least one positive outcome of divorce. So, Attorney Eileen, yeah, what are your thoughts? I mean, we're towards the end already, so we would love to get your thoughts about divorce and your experience and challenges that you go through, and what advice can you give to our viewers as a divorce attorney?
Okay, first, I'd like to answer that question that was posted earlier about when the other party is not cooperative and what's going to happen. Because the question was, can you please show that question again? I just want to emphasize something on that one. That's a good question. So here it's asking, no, that's not the one. The not cooperative one. Yeah, because this is important because I've
Yes.
encountered this. So how about if the other party is not cooperative in the process of divorce, but the other one is so willing to do so, and how is it going to proceed? So what the other party is trying to do here is, if I don't do anything, will it not proceed? Because I believe this one is not be the other party is not cooperative because maybe the other party doesn't want a divorce, doesn't really want to end the marriage, but the other one is so ready to move on. So the question here is, can the other party stop the divorce? Sadly, no. There's only one way that the divorce proceeding can stop: if you both agree to not proceed with it anymore. Like you go file a withdrawal of your case or non-suited. But if the other one party, at least one party, is willing to go through the divorce, the other party cannot stop it. So it will proceed whether you participate or not. If you don't participate, if you don't cooperate, then your divorce process will become more costly and complicated and dragging. So it will not do any good for you not to cooperate. It would be best for you to cooperate so you can at least come up with an agreement. Because if you don't settle all the issues during a divorce case, then you're telling the judge, go ahead and make a decision. What percentage will I get from the assets, from the community property? What is my visitation time? When? So, or how much is my child support? So you're making the judge decide. And in order for the judge to do that, you have to provide all the evidence, bring all the witnesses. In that case, you're bringing all the bad things, that happened in your marriage. So all the deepest secrets will come out in public. So once it becomes a proceeding, once you go to court, everything becomes public. So that's why I encourage people, because you cannot stop divorce anyway. If the other party is willing to do so, to get the divorce decree, the least you can do is to cooperate and try to settle the issue that way. You can at least come up with something that will work. Because if the divorce is granted by the court, the issues after the divorce, and this we're talking about challenges, right? um, Getting into filing the divorce petition is will entails a lot of challenges already. We already talked about that. You go through all this process, and if it's not really working, then you file a divorce. And during the divorce process, there are so many challenges. There are, again, the challenge of time, of money, and cooperation, resolving issues, mediations, all of that. And then after the divorce is granted, there's going to be a lot of challenges again. If you need to sell your property, your house, because you have to split the proceed. I'm telling you, selling the house is going to take, I don't know how many months for you to be able to do that again. And you still have to try to resolve that issue as to who's going to be your realtor. How much do you agree as to the price? And then after that, the expenses. And then after all expenses has been paid, then you split out. So there's some, and then of course, not talking about the child custody issue is the most complicated one if you have minors involved. So what I can say is you've done all what you can do to save your marriage, because you're not going to end up in the court if you haven't done anything of any of this. The reason why you're in court is because you can no longer resolve it. So my suggestion, not advice, not a legal advice, this is just for informational purposes only, is for you to try to settle all the issues among yourselves or between you, your attorneys, and try to get representation. Because if the other party is represented and the other party is not represented by an attorney, how are you going to, that party is not represented by an attorney, how are you going to protect your right as well and assert your rights? So it's best to be represented during this process, because these are issues that are very sensitive and it's life-changing. So it'll affect the rest of your life and your children if you have children involved.
I think that's a very wise decision, because many times one has a very good lawyer, representing, and the other person is not. So it's very, very important. In that way, yes, you get all your questions answered. You have somebody who speaks the language, who's going to really give you confidence, and it's going to really, in this case, fight for you, for your rights.
Yes. And we have questions from we have a question from Rusty Lopez. Thank you for watching. Yeah, can two Filipino undergo divorce in the US?
Okay, well, I'll tell you a general answer of that one. So maybe not just two Filipinos. I mean, in Texas, before, that divorce law is a state law. So it's governed by the state law. So if you're getting a divorce in Las Vegas, then you'll have to check with an attorney there in Las Vegas who practices divorce, because the law there is different from here in Texas. So since I'm licensed here in Texas, I can probably speak about, the law here in Texas. So in Texas, anybody can get a divorce or can file a divorce here as long as you satisfy the residency requirement. In Texas, you have to be domiciled in Texas for 6 months before you file a divorce, and you have to be a resident of the county where you filed a divorce for at least 90 days or the last 90 days before you filed the petition. And it doesn't matter whether you're a U.S. citizen, a Filipino citizen, a Mexican, or a British national, whatever. As long as you satisfied the residency requirement here in the state of Texas, you may be able to file a petition for divorce here. Now, the next question that you have to hurdle is getting, if the other party or the other spouse is not located in Texas, maybe it's the other party is in another country, then you'll have to, definitely you will need the assistance of your attorney, because the other party has to be served in order for the court here in Texas to acquire authority or proceed with the divorce case. So that's just, in general, an overview of that. But yes, as long as you satisfy the requirements. Good question, Rusty.
Yeah. And then I think he followed up with the question, what if the other party is a U.S. citizen? So I think he was meaning like a Filipino citizen and a U.S. citizen. So
yeah, like I said, it doesn't matter what your citizenship is, as long as you're here and you satisfy the residency requirement here in Texas, you can file for divorce here. Now, what happened next depends on whether you can serve the other party or not.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Attorney Eileen. Yes, we learned a lot from you tonight. Well,
like I said, it's just for informational purposes only. Make sure that if you are in another state, you consult an attorney in your state.
Thank you. That's very important, because sometimes we need guidance, and more when we're going through emotional turmoil. We need somebody who is an expert on the field.
Yeah. So again, I think we have come to the end of the show, but we are really very, very grateful for this topic tonight. And we're very happy and grateful for Attorney Eileen for the wisdom and the information that you have shared. I bet all our viewers have learned a lot from you. And thank you, Atala, for sharing your experience. And we truly, truly appreciate your boldness.
That's important, you know, at the end of the day,
Yes.
when you go through life, you need to learn, grow in the process. And then this is what I do now. I'm now coaching women that they go through divorce. So I have to learn from my experience to be able to really add value to their lives.
Yes, that's very true. Because, you know, out of our experiences, out of our stories, we can actually make an impact and make a difference in other people's lives. And that's why we at Be Bold, Why Not, we are encouraging you to come out there. I mean, share your story, because you'll never know which life you're going to touch, right? Which life.
That's the beauty of life. Your own stories, they have beauty, no matter how terrible they look like, you know. You grow, you learn, and then you find out that it gives you a purpose in your life.
That's right. So again, we thank you for all our viewers tonight. And if you miss our live show at the Facebook and YouTube live of Lawin Media Network, you can also see it on stream.lawin.live, and you can listen to our podcasts again on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Podchaser, Deezer, Player FM,
Stitcher, Pandora, Podcast Addict, Podcast Cast, Good Podcasts, and Podcast Index.
Yes, and of course, we are live every Monday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And so you watch out for our next episode on Monday, the 25th.
That's amazing. Time just fly. But we're going to be looking forward to connect with you again. And we're going to be looking forward to especially hear from you.
Yes,
we'd love to know your comments, your ideas, and any feedback that you have. We are here for you.
Yes, and for all of those that are watching, please share our show to your friends, family, relatives, to your dogs. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, to everybody there, you can please share our show, because we would love to be part of your life, and we would love to share our thoughts, ideas, our experiences, because we want to touch your life. We want to help you become bolder and become more courageous and become more prepared for anything, any challenges that you might face. So again,
that's why,
be bold. Yeah, why not? And see you again.
Until next Monday.
All right. Good night, everyone.